Okay. Yeah, all right, thank you. No, I got a new. Oh, I got that. Okay. Yeah, all right, thank you. No, I got a new. Oh, I got that. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. No, I got a new. Oh, I got that. Where is everybody? My goodness. Oh my God. But everybody's standing up in the middle. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. At this time, we'd like to take a moment for silent prayer or personal reflection. Thank you. Janine, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag, of the United States of America, to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we're going to look to approve the agenda, but there is a change I want to make to it. So after the discussion items, I would like to move executive session up to right after the discussion items, which is number 2. We've got some work to do there, so we'd like to do that. And then, is that correct?
And I think we have to move the appointment.
Yes, yep. Which is where? Had it. Lost it. There it is. So section 7, number F, we're going to move up to just after the discussion items. And then we'll move into executive session after that.
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
And I will second.
Thank you, Janine. Thanks, Mary.
Should I turn this down?
It's a little hot there. You could go here. Okay, any other discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? At this time, we come into the public comment section of our agenda. I'm going to go ahead and read the rules here that we go by. The public is invited to speak about items on the agenda. The Board of Education has allotted 15 minutes for public comment. Each individual can speak for 3 minutes. The board can vote to increase the 15-minute maximum if it wishes. The following are not permitted: comments that involve personalities, comments about the performance or conduct of individual staff members, comments about specific and/or confidential student-related issues. Individuals may request to have an item for discussion placed on the agenda. The request should be submitted in writing to the district. Please contact the district clerk, Mrs. Irizarry, no later than noon on the Wednesday prior to each meeting. Now, it looks like we have about 10 people signed up. So I want to propose that we do extend our allotted time to a half an hour prior to getting started on this, and we'll make sure everybody gets their 3 minutes. So thank you, Jim.
Second.
Thank you, Julio. Any discussion on that?
I will.
Thank you, Mary.
And just had to point out that we don't respond to comments. and that's just-
Yes, yep. So this is a public comment section. We're happy to listen to your concerns and eager, to hear where we need to address things. But we do not respond at this time. It's not a debate. So I just want to remind everybody of that. All those in favor of the change? Opposed? Abstentions? So the first person on our list is Sarah Burt.
Hello, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Just tip it. Yeah.
Okay, better? Yeah, okay. I said hi and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I know this is an important subject to a lot of people, so I appreciate the time. My daughter is in the first grade. My son is only 2. It may matter to some that they are white, healthy, privileged children. Even with that, in their short lives, I've already dealt with heartbreak and frustration because they were not treated kindly. A child not accepting them or adults passing judgment. They're not even old enough to begin knowing who they are, and yet they have already been judged because of a toy they chose to play with or a color that they like. In their short lives, I've already struggled to teach my kids about kindness, judgment, and bullying. We need to be the example. The adults in our school and in our community need to be the example. Children learn by example, they follow your actions. If we have taken a stand against bullying, biases, judging others for their orientation and religion, then we need now more than ever to be that example. We need to send a message to our young people, and what message are we sending them if we allow the words of Joel Witcher to become acceptable? He and his words are now a part of this place that these children attend every day and are supposed to feel safe. The judgment and hateful things that have been said are deplorable and are one matter to be dealt with. If a student were to have broadcasted hate speech live over Facebook, I believe they would be held accountable. Administration should be held to an even higher standard. It is quite patronizing to ensure us that a solution is almost in place and then make a statement that the community has calmed down as if this can now blow over. I hope that is not the case. The school and community deserve to be validated in their concerns and trust that this is being taken seriously. I could speak about my feelings about this religion or any religion, but that is a personal matter. I am not here to attack someone's religion outside of this school. But Mr. Witcher is a part of this school. He declared to bring his religion into our public school. He stated that a group of his educators have already infiltrated the school. He has made it clear that he is unwilling and unable to separate his religious beliefs with his conduct in school. Every decision he makes is being guided by his radical Christian and political beliefs. As it's been said, the First Amendment protects your right to freedom of religion. It protects the right of him and his congregation. It also protects mine and everyone else's. My freedoms and rights are as equally important as his. It must not be confused whose religious freedoms are being imposed upon here. In order to have freedom, no religion can govern our country, city, or states. Religion does not belong in our public schools. In his church, while talking about retiring as principal, he said, "No way, because I can be with them." This is also when he went on to talk about his educators infiltrating the school and praying over the kids. He has no intention of keeping his religion separate from his job, and he has infinite ways of influencing so many lives. A public school is a safe place for all children of all ethnicity, orientation, and religion. Please take action and send the message to your youth and to your community that they are loved, respected for who they are, and that they are accepted. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Sarah. I just want to remind everybody that this is not a spot where we should come to attack an individual. If there's a concern about the school district that, we have purview over, not a personnel issue, that's what we should be addressing here. Next up is Daniel Gayton.
Hi, my name is Daniel Gayton. Appreciate the time tonight. I'm also here to talk about the social media video, but I want to talk about it on a whole nother level. I want to talk about it on the level of what are we teaching our young children by allowing employees like this to be in our school system. In this school system is a very diverse population of individuals. We have a very diverse school district. Not so much a diverse staff, but a lot of diverse students. And what are we really teaching them students when one of their head administrators, they can't even feel comfortable going to them if they're of the Muslim faith because that person believes that they're going to go to hell, or that if they go get free lunch or something like that, that is part of a socialism program. We in the Olean community believe that we take care of people no matter race, color, creed, sexual orientation, or anything like that. We don't have a problem, in this community taking care of our people, but all of a sudden now it's a socialist agenda. This man should not be part of the school system. And the fact that we're still sitting here a month later, still talking about this issue is actually a slap in this community's face, because this community does not believe in these views. They do not believe that people should be treated differently. They do not believe that they should be sending their kids to school in unsafe situations. We wonder why the violence rate amongst these populations have gone up. It's very evident. Look at the meeting last time you guys were here. You seen how them grown folks act. What are they teaching their kids at home? You seen them? They verbally attack somebody in this building. That is your guys' responsibility. So as a board that oversees the education and diversity and safety of these students, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to stand for? How are you guys going to deal with this situation? Because at the end of the day, you guys oversee the code of conduct policy. You guys oversee the dignity policy. You guys oversee all that stuff. So what are you guys going to do about this situation? I know you say that we're not allowed to stand up here and talk about staff. I realize that you say we're not allowed to stand up here and talk about personnel matters, but I'm a taxpayer. I pay these guys. I can talk about anybody I want. Nobody said nothing last week when you had a whole bunch of sheep over here hollering and screaming with no mask on. That was okay. Let me ask you a question, because I thought about this a lot. How would this situation be handled differently if somebody from the LGBT community was the principal and they stood up there and said all straight people are going to hell? How would this situation be handled a bit differently if somebody from the Islamic community stood up there and said all Christians are going to hell? Or how would it be handled differently if an African-American stood up here and said all white people are going to hell? We all know how that situation would have ended. That situation would have ended with them being fired the next day. The only reason that this man has his job is because he's a white Christian man. That's it. End of discussion. That's why we're here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gayton. Next up is Mickey George.
My name is Mickey George of Ward 3 in Olean. I speak today in my capacity as a parent. Capitalism is dying a slow and ugly death, and along with it, all the nasty habits it has bred and sown, going all the way back over 400 years to the 15th and 16th century European conquerors. These religious fanatics conquered most of the known world at the time, forcing their man-made religious values onto others. For if they rejected to speak or spoke out against Christianity, they were labeled heretics, witches, or demons, and were killed. We've learned a lot since then, but apparently not enough. We've learned about how white manners and white order brought brought to you under the guise of Christianity has only served to segregate classes in society. While you sit in your white-centric positions of absolute comfort and power, you call for peace, calm, respect, and the like. But I need to be very clear. Those rules exist and they exist to stifle and dismiss the passions of the oppressed and afflicted, and they exist to this very day. And I'd just like to say that those rules are a bunch of fucking bullshit. When you pay more attention to the
Let's try to keep it
messenger
clean.
and the delivery of the message than the message itself, you are exercising white privilege and you are exercising poor leadership qualities. So don't be like that and listen to the message. 70% of youth in America identify under the LGBTQIA+ umbrella. I myself am transgender. This number is projected to rise as we move away from traditional classes in society and forge a more just world for our children. You must remember to keep diversity and inclusion at the absolute highest priority in your policies, practices, and decisions. In other parts of the world, we are so quick to label religious fanatics like those of Fresh Fire and Believers Chapel as terrorists. Their white fragility cannot endure this harsh reality without a fight, as you have seen. In conclusion, I urge you to immediately focus the majority of your attention on building safe spaces. We've seen some brave teachers come forward and inform students that their doors are open to anybody, but it needs to be more, much more. And for help with that, I urge you to reach out to my friend, Leo WT. Please do not stagnate on this issue, and please cut all ties to religious institutions at once. And lastly, please seek immediate termination of Joel Witcher.
Thank you for your words. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, if we have any more vulgarities while there's students present, we'll just finish this. The public speaker section, and your message gets lost. Your message gets lost when all we concentrate on is trying to protect our kids. Next on the list is Gary Harvey.
I appreciate the time. I normally don't do this for the purposes of tonight. It's either Reverend or Dr. Harvey. And the reason I say that is the level of sincerity and passion and absolute disgust I have with being lumped in with preachers that acted the way that was experienced last week. It's disgraceful. And it's funny that the public comment is being dictated what you can and cannot say. But I guess that's not really surprising after what was allowed to happen last week. And you have a member of your own board who openly supports the preacher that acted the way he did. I'm going to read something from the city's website. It says the district's guiding principles include a commitment to fostering a respectful, safe, and welcoming environment, embracing diversity. You can look at your own faculty and staff and know that that's not true. Honesty and integrity, responsibility and accountability. These guiding principles, perhaps I have a different definition of the word guiding, will remain at the forefront as we move forward to address this matter. We will also remain focused on our mission vision to be a student-centered community of excellence in which all members are challenged to learn, achieve, contribute, and innovate. I find that comical because we, under the guise of free speech, forget the fact that that does not mean the absence of responsibility and accountability. Yet nothing happened. We were subjected. We had to tolerate because the board, unfortunately, is spineless. We have students that are no longer feeling safe within our school system because I get a free lunch, I'm somehow a terrible person. Because I don't agree, or I don't think, or I don't have a religious ideology that's the same as a member of faculty, that now I'm no longer safe. I'm looked at as inferior. I'm looked at as a problem. I'm looked at as outside of what is acceptable. And somehow, this high school, this school district, this school system has felt that that is acceptable. If we are truly creating a safe place for our students, then we've missed the mark. And we've missed it by far. When I served in the military, I worked with the chaplaincy. And as a member of the chaplaincy, you can't just focus on one particular faith group. I have to afford the opportunity to whoever, whatever, regardless. Now I'll challenge you to actually step up and do the right thing and protect our children because you failed to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Next on the list is Jessica Malone.
I am deeply concerned over the school board, the superintendent, and the OHS principal that were present at the last meeting and their failure to do their job and follow the guidance given to all of you in the OCSD's code of conduct approved by this board. On September 2nd, the New York State Department of Health issued its guidance to all districts. The Department of Health and the governor provided clear guidance on school building mask requirements and compliance with the law. Title 10 of the New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Section 2.60 states all students, personnel, teachers, administrators, contractors, and visitors must wear masks at all times indoors, regardless of vaccination status. At the last board meeting, you allowed individuals to violate these rules. It was a school-related activity. There were students present, and this is a school facility. According to the Code of Conduct, you are required to enforce state rules and regulations. Please do your job. As educators, you teach our children that they must follow the rules. I hope all of you begin to lead by example instead of hypocrisy. This is about doing what is in the children's best interest, not the individual freedoms of anyone. Hopefully, your recent disregard for health regulations will not lead to the death of any children in our district or our county. Our children are taught they represent their community and their school no matter where they are. They are told not to post on social media about stuff at school and are ushered to assemblies about cyberbullying and social media. What message are we sending our children when we don't hold these same ideals for ourselves, and even more concerning for the people who are teaching them to our children? The remarks made that sparked the student protest were alarming. To hear that educators have infiltrated the school system is a very scary thought. Infiltrated means they secretly gained access or entered under false pretenses. Is the false pretense that they serve this district's mission or of tolerance and fairness, while they are actually there to serve the mission of that singular church? Is a school nurse one of his infiltrators? Do they pray over my child instead of giving them their medication? How will we know? I hope this matter is being investigated and taken seriously. We have all heard first or second hand about the public comments on homosexuals, Muslims, those living with mental health and poverty by a principal, and these people being brought into the light so they can be killed. These children and these people, these public threats, metaphorical or not, created a hostile environment for our children. And we have already seen the effect and how those comments have unreasonably and substantially interfered with one or more of our students' educational performance, opportunities, and benefits, and the negative effect on their mental, emotional, and physical well-being. District policy calls this bullying. Further, the Code of Conduct states that this applies to actions off of school grounds. The bullying in our school even extended to the SRO.
Thank you, Jessica. That's your time.
One of the students organizing the student-led protest was taken out of class by the SRO in his uniform with his gun and escorted to the school to speak with the principal. The purpose was to inform him of the rules of the
Okay, that's your
protest.
time.
That's your time.
In
Thank you,
my
Jessica.
opinion, this was a direct.
Let's move on to the next speaker.
Yep. Our next speaker.
I am almost done.
No,
Excuse me?
excuse me.
He is the next speaker.
Well, then let's have him come up and read the rest of the message. Then if you want the rest of the message read, then go ahead and bring him up. Thank you.
3 minutes is 3 minutes, Mr. President.
Let me explain something to you guys. We, the people, the taxpayers of this district, you understand? You don't tell us what we get to come here and speak about, when we get to speak about it, who we get to speak to. That's not how this works. I just told you that I was going to give the young lady my time. For some reason, she can't get my time, but last week when the young man was over here screaming and hollering, you guys yielded not to say nothing to the man, did you? Is he even a slap over here? No. But you're going to take away time from a taxpayer here to give to that person. And now when a person here who is a taxpayer, you're going to take her time. Well, take mine. I didn't think you would. I'm very concerned on how you guys try to stall out, keep quiet, tell us what we could say, send us the messages over the emails after the fact that we signed up. You tell us that we got to sign up a week before we come speak. Why? So you can prepare? Just get your stuff together. Do what you need to be doing. You don't want me to talk about Mr. Witcher? Fine, I won't. Let's talk about getting the teachers a contract. Sit up here and make sure that administration gets paid. What about our teachers? We see where our money's going to the administration. Meanwhile, our teachers are taking their check and making sure that the kids have supplies in their room. What are you doing about it? You guys can give me 3 minutes, take 2, whatever you like to do, because this is not the last time you're going to see me. I will be here every Tuesday. If I'm not at the city building, I will be here. Until we get these teachers a contract, till we get our kids safe into school, you will be hearing from me. And I can promise you, there is no one that's going to silence me. Our kids need to be kept safe. If you guys can't keep our kids safe, then get gone. Not only am I a taxpayer in this school district, I'm also an active voter, very active in the community. So if you guys don't like to do your job, it's very easy for us to replace you. And I would encourage the kids here that if you're 16 years old, to please go register to vote. And if you're 18, you see who's not listening, get them up out of here.
Thank you. The next person on the list is Angela Sawaya. Is Angela here? She signed up to speak. All right. We're going to move on to the next person then. Tim Sherlock.
Dear members of the school board, we, the Cattaraugus County Coalition for Change, are a community organization which wants to create an atmosphere that protects our children and promotes their well-being and inclusion in the district. We are formally requesting to meet with the superintendent as well as all of you to discuss best practices and an action plan in promoting diversity, equality, and inclusion. As I mentioned at the last meeting, what we are facing is a systematic breakdown of integrity in our district. We have outlined in detail the changes we see that would be in the best practice of the district to promote this equality and full diversion and inclusion. Let us be clear, it is the position of this coalition, of these people, that Joel Witcher is not fit to serve as Olean Middle School principal or DASA coordinator, and that his statements on social media are not protected by the First Amendment. Employee speech is generally reviewed by courts with consideration to whether the employee is speaking as a citizen on a matter of public concern. And then they look at the district's interest in directing the work of the staff and maintaining the integrity of the workplace. Employee speech is protected when speaking as a private citizen on a matter of public concern, and the employee's interest is commenting on matters of public concern as it outweighs the interest of the district in promoting the efficiency of its operations and services. whether the speech would destroy the relationship of loyalty and trust required by the employer and of the employee. If public employees make statements pursuant to their official duties, the employees are not speaking as citizens for First Amendment purposes, and the Constitution does not insulate their communications from their employer's discipline. During that sermon, as people have already said, we heard him speak as he has infiltrated the school district, prayed over the students. It is due to that rhetoric that this coalition has formed. It is due to that rhetoric that we find ourselves here today with these recommendations. In consultation with many of these members of this committee who are professionals in this field, we call for the establishment of a policy for faculty, staff, administration, and the Board of Education restricting discrimination, hate crimes, intimidation, taunting, harassment, and the list goes on. We want to hire a dedicated diversity, equity, inclusion officer to independently oversee and respond to the DASA and Title IX reports. We want mandatory safe space and diversity trainings for all personnel. The creation of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee with key stakeholders, experts, and community members to establish and support Pride Alliances. A middle school GSA, developing policies that are inclusive. I have the packets here and I've made a copy for each of you that show the recommendations along with the laws to support them.
Thank you. Next on our list is Jack Turner. Last call, Jack Turner. All right, we'll go ahead and move on with Mr. Leo Walters Tahara.
Per the Olean City School District website, the Olean City School District is a student-centered community of excellence. The actions of this board, in conjunction with the administration, have blatantly contradicted this, and it's been happening for a long time now. 3 years ago, we were here for this exact same issue with a different face, which proves that this is not a personality conversation, so you can't shut me down on it. This is a systemic failure of the Olean City School District, and it's being perpetuated by the inaction and obstinate ignorance and ignoring of the real needs of the students and the teachers in this school district. In just the last week, since the board allowed a non-tax-paying non-parent to sit right over there and scream over top of a taxpayer with a prepared speech, there have been multiple incidents of hate-related actions, many of which were perpetuated on school property. There were Muslim students who are actively subject to hate speech in a Zoom chat that was documented and turned into the district, and nothing was done. And as a matter of fact, those same incidents are still happening up to and including Islamophobic slurs being hurled at these students within the past 14 days since the last board meeting. Outside of the board meeting last week, a student whose parent is a district employee felt safe to call people a trans bitch or a gay homo. They were there and they were inspired by the actions of people in this audience and by the inactions of this board and by a principal and administrator. We spend $126,000 a year on a middle school principal. Could we please fund the teachers who are actively providing triage to our students who are not taken care of? The inaction, actually, it's not inaction. It's not a passive thing. The decision to not take care of the students and to not take care of the teachers is part and parcel of the values of this school district, which are to insulate and protect padded administrative costs. The board has chosen to publicly support people who are throwing hate speech out into the world by commenting on their live videos. The board has purported to help people because they're not shutting down incidents of hate speech that are happening on the steps, to the point where a public law enforcement officer had to step in from a grown man feeling comfortable enough to scream at a child until she cried. Furthermore, at the student protest, a group of students felt comfortable standing just outside of the fray of the people who were protesting and to scream LGBTQ slurs at them. Furthermore, someone felt comfortable enough to stand across the street and scream, "You are nasty," at the top of his lungs. And the school district has taken no efforts to curb this cancer and attitude that is latent in the system.
Thank you all for your comments. Next on the agenda, we have a discussion item, the summer school and summer programs presentation by Jen Mahar and Marcy Johnson.
Mr. Martell is going to load a presentation for me.
For 6 weeks during July and August of 2021, 12 dedicated faculty and staff members of the Olean City School District Special Education Program participated in the first ever district-run extended school year program. Teachers Chelsea Boker, Cami Korzaneski, and Chris Korzaneski, speech-language pathologist Jackie Giardini, autism specialist Karen Odell, along with 7 teacher aides and the dedicated occupational and physical therapist from Olean General Hospital, provided programming for students in a classroom setting and students who received related services only. The benefits of providing extended school year services in-house are many, but include the familiarity of staff along with students and curriculum, buildings and classrooms that are familiar to the students from the school year, which may not seem like a big deal, but for many of our students that experience difficulty with transitioning to new environments with new staff, this can be overwhelming and time has to be spent acclimating to these changes. Our students were provided with wonderful educational opportunities, but don't take my word for it. Let me read for you from some of our students who couldn't be here tonight. Jacob says, Miss Boker was our teacher for summer school. We also had her as our teacher during the school year. That helped because she knew all of us and we knew her. We were able to work in the same building and in the same classroom. Ms. Boker already knew our learning styles and interests. She knew what we had been learning in school. She taught us how to write letters, and we each wrote letter to someone in the community and got letters in return. Ms. Boker made learning fun this summer. Aviana said Ms. Boker's class was able to participate in work-based learning hours and gain valuable work experience. We went to the PLC building to stamp and put stickers on books. We walked to Reed's Food Barn to buy ingredients to make pizza and cookies. Our class also built race cars with Dream It, Do It, and participated in races at BOCES with kids from other school districts. Hannah says, during the summer, we had fun Friday swimming at the Oames pool. Miss Pam was the lifeguard. In the pool, we played bowling, Marco Polo, and basketball. Miss Pam also gave us swimming lessons. On the last day of summer school, we had a lot of fun. We played yard games, went swimming, had a cookout, and got to ride horses. I also have for you some drawings made by some of our youngest students for you to enjoy. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share with you our experiences with the extended school year program.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Jackie. We have some pictures to go along with those throughout the presentation too. So we just wanted to highlight some of the activities that occurred over the past summer and kind of see where that will take us going forward. So over the last 3 years, we've tried to maintain and now to expand programming to the extent possible. You see at the top left, what used to be a fairly typical summer had been looking like most years in terms of program offerings, with the two main linchpins really were the academic high school, summer school, 6-7, and also the Summer Star program. During 2020, activities had to be scaled way back so that they could be provided remotely. This past summer, we were able to bring back much of our programming and add a few new things as well. We still weren't able to return to large groups together, such as the traditional STAR program, but we hope to do that and we'll look to return with other activities as well. Please note, as we go through the slides, face masks were not required by New York State at the time of summer school, so you will see students with and without masks throughout. And then next slide, we just highlighted, throughout all of our summers, we try very hard to make sure our summer lunch program is to the largest extent possible across the community. We are very grateful to work with Connecting Communities in Action, formerly Community Action, to be able to provide meals, as well as the work from school staff and other community partners to make this available for students throughout the summer. What I'm going to do next is kind of go through the different programs that were available at different levels and give some highlights from those programs. We had wonderful feedback from students, families, and teachers. We really hope throughout all of these levels that we'll be able to offer even more next summer. For those students who completed previously kindergarten, first or second grade during the 2021 school year, we had offered an academic summer school that was available at Eastview for 20 days in July and August. And we had 74 students participate at the primary level. The students' instruction at summer school focused on maintaining and furthering developing literacy and math skills. They worked by grade bands to research themes such as the wild and endangered animals and marine life, and students selected their own topic to become an expert on. They read, took notes, edited, revised, and published their own informational text. Math instruction and interventions built on curriculum resources help students become more familiar with these throughout the school year. The goal of the program was to help students to have more opportunities to read, write, practice math, and to maintain their strength and strengthen their skills. It's pretty normal to see somewhat of a summer slide effect in the fall when students may not be reading or practicing other skills regularly in the summer. We have seen many times over that while not all students advance dramatically following summer school, this vast majority of them do enter fall with a much less significant slide or gap. This can be a huge help in helping set them up for a successful school year, particularly following the previous year and a half with the pandemic. So on the next slides are just some highlights from the elementary level. These are our rising second grade students. They studied marine life and each selected a particular creature to read about and researched everything from their life cycle, food, predators, and physical characteristics. Students had many opportunities to read and write and also to share what they were learning with others. So hold right there just a second, Mike, let me catch up with you. This is Mrs. Colley's work. Ms. Colley is our art teacher from the intermediate middle school. She was at Eastview and at Waynes during the summer program. And we loved having her in both places. We also had Mr. Huey from Washington West. And this is a photo of the students' 3D box creations. On the next slide, you'll see some painted clay mobiles that they made, and then a couple pictures with marble painting. Our summer school teachers felt like the program had a lot of opportunities for students. The teachers were awesome. As we wrapped up at the end, we took some time to reflect what went well, where would we like to expand next year, what surprised us. Over and over, teachers shared how students were excited to be there. They saw students collaborating and working well in small groups. Some students who sometimes have had challenges over the year were there every single day and loved it. The teachers shared how valuable transportation was and key for helping students to attend regularly. We also talked about how to expand next summer, possibly adding some field trips and swimming. We also captured recommendations for next year, such as adding a breakfast or snack and adjusting some classroom resources to be a better fit. But very excited for next year. One of the special events that we had during the last week included a performance by the Liberty Partnership students. These high school students came to both Eastview and Waynes and sent a very positive message where all students are stars. So students, engage students, the younger students in interactive performances, getting everybody involved. And they were also able to read the audience and connect with those younger students as they finished their performance. We were so glad that they could join us. It was a really great experience.
I can interject as a parent of one of those students standing up there right now wearing an orange shirt, she just absolutely loved coming to schools and doing that for the students. She loved the interaction. She talked about it for days afterward. In fact, so much so that she's actually thinking that preschool or elementary education is her avenue that she wants to go into. And it's because of moments and experiences and opportunities like this.
It was awesome.
So I just want to put a personal spin on something that was just a really great opportunity this year. A great experience. I'm so glad we were able to do this. I want to reach more kids next year.
Yes, agreed, totally. At the Olean Intermediate School, we had a similar program as we did at Eastview for the students who had completed 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And we also had the more traditional summer school that we have typically had for 6th and 7th grade students. We listed them here as rising 7th and 8th just because that was the pattern that we had for elementary, but that was the traditional summer school. So the next few slides kind of give some highlights for those as well. So similar to the primary buildings, the students who were rising up to 4th, 5th, and 6th grade either studied bugs in their ecosystems or space. And we loved having the new 4th graders in this building. So this is their first time to be at Wayne's, getting ready for the fall as new 4th graders. And it was a great experience for them to be able to join us for the summer. Go back one slide, please, Mike. So this is the Liberty Partnership doing an interactive group with students in the LGI room. And not only did the Liberty Partnership students do this performance with us, they had many other things as well. They worked in our tech department. Some of them were classroom assistants throughout the summer school programs. They also were part of the Oak Hill activities in the afternoons. So we thank Mr. and Mrs. Patron and all of their team for all of the programming that the partnership provided to the elementary students. This slide is also some of our art projects from Ms. Holly and her students. You can see a great deal of creativity and detail as they studied their bugs and connected it with their art. And on the next page, this is art connected to those that were learning about space. And then in addition, students had opportunities as authors to read and present to their peers. And this is something we're hoping to be able to expand to a bigger audience next year, as hopefully we're able to do so, not only with other school members, but with their families as well. So overall, again, reflecting with the teachers afterwards, thinking about this experience, you see some math awards here. You see, activities that they engaged in, like a scavenger hunt. We talked about all of the different components for their programming, but also the relationships that were supported during the experiences here. And the teachers of this group, they were surprised how much the students wanted to be there. They were surprised that they didn't want to leave. They were able to see some great gains as well. We certainly saw that with some of the growth with their math scores. They had some positive goal setting experiences, and they were really excited to think about what this could continue to grow into. They echoed the transportation as being so helpful. They love the art and music, and they would also like to see some expanded time so students could get physical education time as well. And we look forward to planning that for next year. In the traditional middle school classes, this is just kind of a recap of the classes that were offered. These are students who will be entering or who have entered 7th and 8th grade this year, and they take either a language arts, a math, or a combination ELA, social studies, or math science course. What you see here is a passing rate for the class. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the number of the students as they pass into the next grade. Those assignments have multiple factors that go into those decisions. Just for a point of reference, we didn't have this offering during the remote time during last summer, the previous summer, but in summer of 2019, we had just 13 students participating. So this was great. So on the next slides, we highlight some of the summer activities. Jackie mentioned many of them, and I'm glad to add some pictures to it, but the student voices were incredible. So it was a very nice connection here. Traditionally, we've had our special education services offered through the BOCES programs. And last year with our remote options, we were able to offer 3 remote special education programs and related services. And this year we were able to do it in person as well. So 2 at Wayne's and 1 at the high school. Program focuses on academics, social activities, work-based learning, related skills, and other special activities that coordinate math, reading, writing, cooking, STEM, and other skills. The students had an incredible time. Here you see the work with Green McDewitt, building the dragsters. They constructed these and laced them. They would like to do it again.
And then here you see some activities that are leading up to the work-based learning. So the CDOS, the Career Development and Occupational Studies credential, requires that students earn work-based learning hours. And students were here helping to prepare books for the elementary school students for their summer program. They were awesome. They took initiative, they worked together as a team, they laughed and had fun the entire time, and they got it done so fast. They were awesome. And this is work at Oak Hill Park in order to help clean and maintain the beauty that is Oak Hill Park. And then some of the fun things as well. So some of the things that they encountered this summer were definite firsts. There were some firsts in a pool, if you can believe it. There are some firsts on a horse. And Mike, I'll have you kind of spin through these a little bit at a pace because some of them kind of repeat different activities, but they are awesome experiences that students were able to have this summer. They love the swimming.
They said that, and all of the things that I just.
We have one of the older students who was so excited about the experience, and it was a multi-age type of experience that he wants to help younger students learn how to swim, and he will be a great mentor for that. I want to thank Shamrock Found Farm and Stable for helping us with the horses this day. This was an awesome experience for them. I just want to mention, still with the special ed, as Jackie said, the ability to maintain many of the same related service providers from school year to summer was huge for continuity, for relationships, for maintaining what students can do to learn and grow, and the community that they build in at the same time. Our next section is at the academic high school. Here you'll see that we had 108 students participate in the traditional academic high school. 67 of those students were enrolled in 2 or more classes. During the summer of 2020 with just remote instruction, we had 76 students participate. And the summer prior to that, summer 2019, we had 134 students participate. So you see here the balance between non-regents and regents courses. This breakdown is how we traditionally consider the coursework that students take. New York State did not administer regents this August. So there was a process for them to earn a waiver for the regents exam if they completed their courses successfully. And then an addition that we've not had that we added in this year was the opportunity to do additional special projects and programs. So I wanted to highlight a few that we had over the course of the summer and hope to add to in the upcoming summer. On this page, I'm just going to highlight a couple that we don't have particular photos for. Lisa Kranz, our band teacher from the high school, was able to offer individual music lessons for students. She had 9 students take lessons ranging from 5th to 12th grade. These lessons were weekly and were 30, 45, or 60 minutes in length. She shared that students were very excited for this opportunity because a few of them hadn't had in-person lessons since March of 2020. One student started an instrument for the first time and got a head start for beginning 5th grade band. She emphasized that she and students were all grateful for this chance to continue taking music. We also had a couple of teachers offer mini courses over the course of the summer for the purpose of being able to provide credit recovery opportunities. Thanks to Dan Brown and Kelly O'Brien for offering design and drawing for production, DDP, and studio art as mini courses. So we had 3 complete in the studio art and 3 complete in the DDP courses. And then we'll move on to the ones that I have some photos for. You may have seen some of this in our newsletter, but we were thrilled to have the summer adventure camp return. This began a few years back as part of the PEP grant and in partnership with Portville Schools. 20 students from Olean and 20 students from Portville participated in the summer's activities, and students had a number of experiences that helped them get outside and active and learn a few new skills too. Hiking, climbing, getting out in nature, fitness and fun. Water safety and kayaking, just a tremendous experience. And then switching gears to pre-K, starting school for the first time is always a big experience for little ones, but it was especially so for the grown-ups this year too. Wanting to make sure children had a chance to see their new spaces and meet new friends. We also wanted to make sure that parents had a chance to visit with their child's teacher and feel comfortable with the new school year. We had a fantastic turnout at both buildings with most all of the students who had registered as of mid-August attending. And lastly, the next slide, you may have seen this highlighted in the Times Herald. Mr. Freeman and a group of 8 high school students launched a handmade balloon satellite The pictures you see here are the team constructing a solar-powered satellite and then launching it. They learned how to put together a GPS tracker and solar panels. They learned how to solder everything in place. They finished their work with 3 trackers, 2 to spare, and a helium balloon to launch the unit that's capable of sending out radar signals for tracking. Unfortunately, their balloon ended before they had hoped, but Mr. Freeman has plans that the next launch will be soon. And the little white spot on the next slide is the balloon going up. As it rises. So thank you. Throughout the summer, there were many, many bright spots, and pulling this together to share with you was great to revisit as well. And we really hope to continue these and bigger and even better. The smiles, the learning and engagement, that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Thanks, Jen.
Wonderful.
I just think it's wonderful that there's so much engagement throughout the summer. And the most telling part, I think, is that the kids loved being there. And they told it to us in their statements. That's great.
Yep, and we've got pictures, more pictures over here. I'll bring them over.
Great motivation to try to expand and do more next summer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know as a special education teacher, how important it is to maintain that consistency and that continuity. So the more we can do of that, the better I feel we will be as well. So
These are great. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we need to do on our agenda is approve a school attorney. Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Yes, please. I'm really not comfortable in the process that got us to where we are, which is about to vote on particular school attorney. Is my understanding it's been brought forth by an individual of the board, and that's fine. I think there ought to be a conflict of interest sort of thing raised, and maybe not participate further. But the process stinks, and so I can't support this. Sorry.
Is there a consideration for tabling this for,
You know, the point is just to add another attorney to the panel, right? We have like 4 or 5 different law firms we can choose from. I think we have historically, with training one person, but that's, we don't have a school attorney. We have a group of attorneys that we use for different purposes. And this is to add to this.
It's not necessary. We have school attorneys. We don't need friends of board members as school attorneys.
Personal relationship and to my respect, it's not a personal friend in any way.
We did ask the question, who we wanted to talk to an attorney about this, and the question was asked in the room, and no names were brought up except for one that Rick brought up. And that's not who we went through, who we're going through. So I'm going to call the vote on this. There's no more discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Thank you, Ira. Abstentions? Motion's carried. At this time, I'd like to move into executive session. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary.
Second.
Thank you, Julio. For the purpose of a personnel issue. And I would like to invite Marnie Smith, school attorney, Joseph Saley, school attorney, and is Margot here or going to meet us in there? Margot Knapp as well, school attorney.
are we going to the boardroom or staying here?
We're going to move into the boardroom. So we'll hook up with Ira on a separate.
Do you
Zoom.
not want to invite Jenny and
Oh, Jenny and Aaron as well.
right?
Yes, thank you. And we will reconvene in here, and there will be action taken on a number of issues.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes,
What's that?
yeah, we need.
Yeah, so it's 7:29. All those in favor?
I.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, we're in executive session.